And I say all the time, I go to bed and pray Bitcoin doesn't, I don't wake up with Bitcoin at $1 million, because that would mean we've ended civil society.
Yes, slow and steady, not a...
We want slow and steady. We want adoption and more people around the world. And there's always going to be, Bitcoin is going up for the same reason gold is going up. It's gone up faster because we're a newer technology, we're a newer commodity, and therefore the adoption cycle is happening faster.
Welcome back to the channel. Today, we dive into the fascinating world of digital assets with none other than Mike Novogratz. As the CEO of Galaxy Digital, a leading firm offering comprehensive financial solutions across the digital assets ecosystem, in an ever-changing industry, Novogratz leads the way. In a recent interview, Novogratz shares some astounding perspectives on the future of the Bitcoin ETF with Alex Thorne. He clarifies the uncertainty behind the SEC's holdup in offering Bitcoin ETF choices. New ETFs usually have trading choices accessible 1 to 2 weeks after they are introduced to the market. These options are essential because they allow traders to make predictions about the future price fluctuations of the ETF, which increases trading excitement and activity. The trading volume of Bitcoin ETFs without options is lower than that of equities like Marathon and MicroStrategy, which have greater trading volumes. This discrepancy, according to Novogratz, might be attributed to the availability of options on certain equities, which draw in day traders and the fervent Robinhood crowd, increasing activity despite the market's volatility. Let's hear what Mike Novogratz has to say.
With the adoption of the ETF, there's been a psychic shift, a psychological shift amongst institutional investors, in that this is now an industry. And, well, we all thought it was an industry for a long period of time.
Yeah.
You know, people are lending us money unsecured. We've got phones ringing off the hook with potential partnerships. Every big institution is figuring out what tokenization is going to mean to them. And so I have more confidence today than any time in the last 10 years of being in crypto that in 12 months and in 24 months, more institutions will be engaged in this space, and the space will be bigger. That doesn't mean the price goes up every month or every quarter. Right? We started this quarter at 73,000. Today we're at 65,000 6 weeks in. And for all of our businesses, for Galaxy's business and for everyone else's business in this space, unlike most businesses outside of crypto, the activity level, the revenue, the excitement is very correlated to one asset, right? Bitcoin goes up, other crypto goes up, your staking revenue goes up, your asset management revenue goes up, your trading volumes pick up. And so we are still going to be correlated to the volatility and direction of the corn. And so we pray that Bitcoin goes higher. It's so interesting that there is a commodity company aspect to what we do, and that's because we're all based in dollars, right? In a future world, a long time away, if God forbid the dollar became toilet paper and things were based in Bitcoin, and like I know a bunch of really true Bitcoiners, they only think in Bitcoin terms. It's not how many dollars of Bitcoin you have, it's how many coins you have, right? That's not our company. It's not going to be the world for a long period of time. And so in a dollar-based world, we are a commodity company now. This whole space is a narrative space. And what I mean by that, it's a storytelling space. Well, I'm good at this space. I'm a good storyteller. We need good engineers. We need good traders. We need good... But storytelling is a big part of it. And it's going to be a big part of it until the protocols that are built on top of the blockchains are being used in everyday life, and there's a revenue that comes out of them, not just a story. Right now, it's the story of what they might do. Right, and you need use cases and proof of concepts to help those stories go along. But we're in a narrative business, so we had great narratives for the last 9 months. The ETF is coming. Larry Fink is endorsing this. Not just Larry Fink, but 10 other giant TradeFi companies getting into the ETF space. The halving was coming. And oh, by the way, Chairman Powell's going to cut 8 times. We got 2 of the 3.
Right.
Chairman Powell's probably not going to cut for a while.
Right.
In the last few days, you've seen fixed income rally, cryptos take off again. We were at 57, then 61, and now we're at 65. Gold making record highs, silver making record highs, copper making record highs. And so there's or at least local highs, there's a resurgence of the, oh my God, the economy's slowing down narrative, which will be helpful. Like I said yesterday, I don't think Bitcoin takes out the old high, the 73,000 high, unless we get the Fed in action, or we get some big regulatory breakthrough.
Yeah.
And those are both probably low delta. So that's why I think we're a bit of a range.
Yeah.
I said 65, 75. It's a pretty big range. I'm sorry, 55, 75.
It's a big range.
It's probably closer to 57, 73. Like we've probably put the low end, the high end right now until the next move. And I do believe the next move is up because I do think we're going to get closer to the election. Powell's going to want to cut rates. Right now, I talk about two things, crypto regulation and the goddamn debt. And they're at odds with each other. If we had an administration, Biden or Trump, that addressed this 26% of GDP federal budget, which should be 20%, it would not be good for Bitcoin. And so having really crappy policymakers and profligate spenders and populists in Washington, great for my net worth.
Since the start of the Bitcoin ETF, institutional investors have begun to acknowledge the legitimacy of cryptocurrency markets. Although many of us have long held the belief that tokenization has great potential, there is now concrete evidence in the form of uncollateralized loans and the investigation of tokenization's effects by major institutions. Mike Novogratz is more optimistic than ever that more institutions will enter the cryptocurrency field in the next 12 to 24 months, expanding it even further. This does not imply that prices would climb progressively each quarter or month, though. For instance, 6 weeks after starting this quarter at $73,000, the price of Bitcoin is now $65,000. The cryptocurrency sector is closely linked to one primary asset, Bitcoin, in contrast to most other industries. The increase of Bitcoin impacts trading volumes, staking revenue, and asset management revenue together with the rest of the cryptocurrency industry. We continue to be very dependent on the direction and volatility of Bitcoin. Therefore, we hope that it will continue to rise each night. Remembering this, enjoy some further jaw-dropping observations from Mike Novogratz that you won't hear very often.
And I say all the time, I go to bed and pray Bitcoin I don't wake up with Bitcoin at $1 million, because that would mean we've ended civil society.
Yes, slow and steady, not a...
We want slow and steady. We want adoption,
Yeah.
adoption and more people around the world. And there's always going to be governments, we saw it with Nigeria, we saw it with Turkey, that are unbelievably irresponsible with their monetary policy and their fiscal policy.
Right.
It's populism. I want to get reelected.
Yeah.
Give everyone a free toothbrush. Japan has a few things
What's
happening.
the deal there?
They have a declining population.
Yeah.
Japan is a insular country. When you live in Japan, which I did, you're an anthropologist. They're unbelievably polite and nice to you, but you're never really taken inside. I moved to Hong Kong, and you're a citizen like the next day.
You're ready to hang out.
And so they're not pro-immigrant, right? They're weary of immigrants. They want to preserve their culture, and they have no birth rate. And so you're losing Japanese at a rapid pace. They are the largest savers in the world and the oldest people in the world. Old people don't spend that much money.
Right.
And so there's a huge savings. And so they run this giant deficit, but they have an equal amount of savings. And so it's this weird accounting. We finally, after deflation for since 89, whatever, 30 odd years, 35 years, they've got inflation going. And that's allowing some vibrancy in their economy. The economy's doing fine. And, the yen is going higher because until they raise rates, and why should they raise rates? They only now got inflation after 30 years trying to get inflation. They got just a tiny bit of inflation. They're going to let inflation go for a while and actually to get nominal GDP going in their economy.
Yeah.
Why is dollar yen going up every day? Because U.S. rates are 5 and Japanese rates are 0.
Yeah.
Are negative. And so even if they raised them a teeny bit, it's still a huge gap.
Right.
And so currencies over the long haul go on interest rate differential. And, we'll see. They intervened at 160. They spent a ton. They have a ton of reserves. And they're hoping the U.S. starts cutting and that takes the pressure off of them. Yep. And so they thought Powell thought he would have already cut twice by now. And the market did too. But so we'll see. It's a great thing to watch. The Nikkei was the best performing stock market last year. It's doing fine this year. It only got back to the 1989 high this February.
That's crazy.
89, 11, 35 years to regain the high.
That's crazy.
And so
talk about
and it did it because
winner.
there was a cultural and a legal change that said you had to work to get your company trading back towards NAV. All of these companies traded way below book. Made no sense.
Yeah.
And there was no activism. And so you had activism, corporate activism in Japan for the first time, and a cultural shift of how companies were run.
Yeah.
In this part of his speech, Mike Novogratz highlights how crucial it is for the cryptocurrency industry to expand gradually and steadily in order to guarantee stability and broad acceptance. He expresses fear that the overnight rise in Bitcoin's value to $1 million would indicate the breakdown of civil society rather than a robust economic climate. Additionally, Novogratz analyzes the effects of careless fiscal and monetary policies in different nations, showing how populist policies may cause economic instability. He compares this to the special economic circumstances of Japan, describing how the country's elderly population and high savings rate have resulted in protracted deflation. That country's recent cultural and legal moves toward corporate participation are what's ultimately encouraged economic energy in Japan. Using the example of the United States and Japan, where there are significant interest rate discrepancies that have generated changes in the dollar-yen exchange rate. He shows the relevance of interest rate differentials on currency values. Japan's measured approach to rate increases in spite of decades of low inflation highlights the intricate interactions among economic variables. And there you have it, some insightful words from Mike Novogratz on the dynamics of the world economy and the cryptocurrency industry. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We appreciate your time, and we hope to see you again soon.